Story 1. I'm not 100% sure if this is the right place to share this, but it happened at work, so here goes. I arrive at work around 6 a.m. every day. Although I don't start until 6:50 a.m., I like to mentally prepare myself for the day's events. As I sit in my car with my headlights off because I'm not an inconsiderate person, a BMW pulls in next to me. This in itself isn't surprising, as we literally build them here. I don't pay much attention until someone knocks very hard on my passenger window. I roll down my window, and the guy rudely says, "Your headlights are blinding me. If you don't turn them off, I'm gonna call your section manager." Normally, I'd politely correct him and go about my business, but today I was feeling particularly snippy, so I decided to at least get a laugh out of it. I responded, "My headlights? Huh." I then got out of my car and walked around to the front to look at my clearly off headlights. When I got in front of the car, I mockingly acted as though I was being blinded by the headlights. I said, "Wow, these things sure are bright. Sorry about that, man." The guy was absolutely shocked that my headlights were actually off. He just mumbled something and then walked to the guy next to me. For clarification, our parking lot at the facility has rows. The BMW and I were backed in on one row, and the sleepy, mistaken, or possibly visually impaired guy was parked across from us. The new BMW lights are indeed very bright, and this guy was in a small car, maybe something like a Miata. I'm guessing he either looked up, saw me first, and decided, "It's him," then pounced, or, as someone suggested, he might have still been groggy. That's equally concerning, considering we work around heavy machinery. Story 2. This happened several years ago when I had just turned 15. My grandmother invited me to visit her in Colorado, and I was excited because I don't see her very often. A couple of days into my stay, we went to buy some groceries. As my grandmother was at the other end of the aisle, I was given permission to look for some cereal I might like. That's when I heard someone beside me ask for help. Now, I'm pretty shy and usually try to avoid contact with people. But when someone needs help, I gladly jump in to assist them. "Excuse me, little miss, would you mind helping me grab this bag of cereal? I can't reach it," a little old lady asked me. "Sure, no problem," I replied. I'm not considered extremely tall. I'm just about average at 5 feet 5 inches, but this lady was barely 5 feet tall. Just to reach the bag of cereal, I had to stand on my tiptoes, but I managed to get it down and help put it in her cart. "Thank you very much, young lady. God bless you," she said. It wasn't an issue. "Do you need help with anything else?" I asked. "No, thank you. My son is actually shopping with me, but he had to run out to the car to get his wallet," she explained. "Okay then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day," I said as I waved her off and turned to go back to my grandmother, who was still trying to decide whether to buy one thing or another. It's been a while, so I can't remember exactly what she was holding in her hands. Suddenly, a rough tap on my shoulder prompted me to turn back around. My eyes met with a middle-aged woman in workout gear, who shall be named Karen, as it is only fitting for this story. "Excuse me, do you know where the ice cream section is?" Karen asked. Since I had only been following my grandmother around and not paying much attention, I could only respond, I can't think of where it is. I haven't been here before." "Oh, you're a new worker. Shouldn't you be accompanied by another person before helping people?" she asked curiously. Realizing what Karen was thinking, I said, "Oh, no, I don't work here." "You helped that old lady before, you can't lie." "I saw it with my own eyes," she accused. "She couldn't reach the cereal, so she asked me since I'm taller," I explained. "So you admit it," she said with an accomplished smile. I didn't even know why she was satisfied with my answer. It wasn't like she really achieved anything. "I did help her, but I'm not wearing a uniform," I said, pointing out that I was wearing a neon pink shirt with a cat on the front, not exactly a grocery store uniform. "You should ask yourself that. Why aren't you in uniform?" Karen screamed at me. "I don't have a uniform. I don't work here," I yelled, trying to walk away, but she stepped in front of me and bumped me back a bit. "Is there a problem?" my grandmother asked as she approached, having heard my yelling. "Stay out of this. I'm trying to get this girl here to help me find the ice cream aisle," Karen responded. For some background about my grandmother, she's an older lady who used to be in the Air Force, and she is not afraid to speak her mind. She can be pretty intimidating, especially since she's over 6 feet tall. Did you just call my granddaughter an idiot? What gives you the right to talk to her that way? She seethed. She's impersonating a staff member. She is the one in the wrong, Karen claimed, reaching out to grab me. But my grandmother put her arm out in front of me. Are you joking or just foolish? Look at her. Where's her name tag? She's not even dressed in the right color for the uniform, my grandmother retorted. Like I was trying to tell you, I just helped the old lady get something that was too far out of her reach. I don't work here. I don't even live in this state. I'm just here to visit my grandmother, I explained, gesturing to my grandmother. But Karen began as she tried to reach around my grandmother to grab me again. But a large man with huge muscles pushed his way in front of her and cut her off. Lady, leave the kid alone. If you put your hands on her, I will have no issue with arresting you, he said as he pulled out a badge, signifying he was a police officer. Her face turned pale as she tried to defend herself. She was... Nope, don't say a word. Just walk away, the officer interrupted. It's not, she tried to speak again. Ma'am, I won't say it again. Stop arguing and leave her alone, he said with a stern voice, making Karen turn and walk away with her cart. After she left, we thanked the officer again, and as he was about to reply, a familiar voice called out, What's taking so long? Did you find the oatmeal I forgot? The nice old lady I had helped earlier asked as she rounded the corner. Well, hello again, young lady, she said with a pleasantly surprised smile. Hello, ma'am, I responded. Sorry, Mom. Some lady was pestering this girl. Didn't even know she was the one who helped you while I was away, the officer replied before turning to me. Thank you for helping my mother. I told her to wait for me to get back, but she's a little bit stubborn. The old lady playfully slapped her son on the arm, making us laugh a bit. After that, we chatted with the two of them for a bit, explained what had just happened, and then said our goodbyes. Funnily enough, we later went to the ice cream aisle without Karen in sight. Never had as much satisfaction eating ice cream as I did reminiscing about Karen's face when the officer showed his badge. Story 3. This story predates my working days and takes place somewhere in the 1990s. Let's just pretend that was only a little while ago instead of the decades ago that make us feel old. So most of the dialogue here is more of what I remember happening rather than an exact recollection of words. Anyway, I was literally pre-job young, probably around 15 or 16. Being a bookworm, gift cards new technology back then, no longer made out of paper. To my local bookstore were like diamonds to a dragon. Since my family loved encouraging my bookworm tendencies, a hoard of birthday and Christmas gift cards could easily add up to over $100. You can imagine that I was one of those people who wished they had a real shopping cart to fill. But sadly, those were not offered in bookstores. Still, I thought there was no way I could be mistaken for an employee. I had no uniform, no name tag, and I was wearing a fanny pack around my waist. My baby face probably made me look around 12, and I was carrying a basket of books I planned to purchase. I even stopped frequently to read the summary on the inside cover or back. I had amassed a weighty collection to satisfy my bookworm heart when another customer came up to me. While this predates the Karen phenomenon by quite a bit, I shall still refer to her as Karen. Can you tell me where to find insert obscure book title here? Karen asked. I can't. I'm not an employee. You can ask at the information desk, though, I replied, pointing to the info desk, which was a whole 15 feet away. I don't want to walk that far. Just tell me where it is, she demanded. Lady, I don't work here, I reiterated. I didn't ask for excuses. I said to tell me where the book was, she snapped. Congratulations, folks, we have left all sense of reality. The one clear memory I have from my teenage mind is thinking, I didn't ask if it was possible, I said to do it, in a whiny adult voice. And I told you that I don't know, I said, walking away to select another book that caught my interest. Side note, my mom would let me loose in bookstores while she went hunting for books of her own. This left me free to explore the children's section, the young adult section, and the adult science fiction or fantasy sections to my heart's content. So, sadly, she wasn't close by to Mama Bear her way into this. Hello, excuse me, hello, Karen followed me down the aisle, yelling and banging her fist on the shelving. Lady, I don't work here. Ask an actual employee, I snapped, though at the time, I was a good girl and didn't use any stronger language. Looking back, I kind of wish I had. The woman went ballistic on me, and I have lost all coherent memory of her screeching, except for the arrival of a manager who came running, probably thinking someone was being harmed. This little girl needs to learn how to treat paying customers better. I will not be disrespected by some kid who works for minimum wage, Karen shouted. The manager looked at me, then at Karen, and said, "Ma'am, this is not one of our employees. She's obviously too young." I didn't ask for excuses. She was rude to me, and I won't stand for it. "You fire her right now, or I'm calling your corporate office," Karen demanded. There's that disconnect with reality again. My teenage mind conjured an image of a woman screeching. I didn't ask if rocks floated, I said make them float. And while you're at it, I'm sick of water being wet all the time. The manager turned to me and said, "You're fired." Disgust and loathing rolled through me, and I gave that manager a full dose of teenage attitude in a single look. He wouldn't even meet my eyes. Karen strutted off like it was her birthday, and I got a tiny 10% coupon for the trouble. To this day, decades later, and having worked my time in the retail trenches, my dislike for that manager has only grown stronger. I firmly believe that Karen was the queen of all Karens, and all the others that have come since are her descendants, created by spineless pandering from retail managers just like him. Story 4. Background: I used to be an hourly manager for a well-known retail store. I worked nights and had all the typical incidents that come with working at such a place. The company underwent a lot of changes, and promotion prospects were looking grim, so I left on good terms with the store manager. I still lived close to my old store and needed to grab a few things before taking my family to dinner. It was Father's Day, so I was wearing khakis and a blue button-up shirt. I happened to bump into my former store manager, and we caught up for a bit. We were talking near the registers, and as we parted, Karen came screeching at me. I looked at my former boss, and he grinned and nodded. "Your cashier has verbally assaulted me and humiliated me in front of all those customers," Karen shouted, pointing at a cashier. Side note, I know this cashier. I hired and trained her. She had also babysat for me on several occasions, and I'm good friends with her family. "Slow down, please start from the beginning," I said, trying to calm her down. "That little witch told me my money is no good here. She wouldn't run my card and called me trash," Karen exclaimed. I could see this was a scam to get free stuff. "Well, please come with me, and security can take a statement. I'm sure they can pull footage from the register while you fill it out," I said, heading towards the security office. She began to follow, but at the mention of register footage, she stopped cold and became louder and more irate. "I want my items. I want them now," she screamed. While she was yelling, I recognized the head of security walking our way. "I understand, ma'am. Please come with me, and this will go quicker," I said, trying to keep her calm. Security stopped to talk to the manager, and I gestured for Karen to follow. We made our way to the security office with the store manager and security guard in tow. The security guard opened the door and let Karen in. Inside, the footage was already on the screen, and the manager moved past me into the room. "Ma'am, we are going to have to detain you until the police arrive," the manager said. She interrupted him. "I will not wait. I want my things now. Who are you?" "I am the store manager, and apart from you yelling at this customer," he gestured to me as I grinned at her, "you have a stolen credit card on you and will wait for the police." The manager shut the door and turned to me. "So, when are you coming back?" he asked with a chuckle. I laughed and replied, "As much fun as that was, I'm not. I've had my fill of retail." My little revenge on Karen's. I never told her I worked there. I acted as a concerned customer. It turns out the card was stolen and flagged. She got upset over her stolen card getting declined and was arrested,